You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore, known as the Ambassador of Joy. Now, you'll notice I didn't say the Ambassador of Joy. It's the Ambassador of Joy, because on this show, we talk about the three fundamentals of life. And when you use these three fundamentals, you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And I guarantee it, especially with today's guest. This is one of the most remarkable women that you'll ever have the pleasure of listening to and experiencing and utilizing the information and the transformation is going to provide for you. So before we bring on amazing Dr. Ellen Langer, I just want to give you a few data points because you've tuned in consciously and conscientiously because you care the most in the entire world about you. Y-O-U. And that's great, by the way, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, you create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And I'm going to urge you to do three things. Number one, don't take notes. That's right. You're going to hear a lot of great stuff today. Don't take notes. Just experience what's happening here. The reason we record this, because now you can go back and you can listen a second time. And then at your leisure, you can write things down, pause, ask questions, maybe even communicate with Dr. Ellen, and we'll find you'll be much better for it. And then listen a third time, and you'll be able to internalize, utilize, and leverage it in your life, and it will make you happier and healthier and wealthier. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to urge you again, share this podcast with 5 people. You want to share with 50 or 100, it's up to you, but at least 5, and just follow. That's it. Just follow the podcast. And thank you. I'm deeply honored and touched that you are telling your family and friends to join. We have over 500,000 listeners now, and you share with 5 people, we'll touch 2.5 million people around the world. And that's good because this is positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant, transformational processes here. So let's talk about the 3 fundamentals of life. Number one, life, your life has purpose. You lead a purpose-driven life. Number 2 happens. Now, in this case, good number 2, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. Lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example, right now this show is being carried over the internet. And if you ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, it has to do with the internet. Now, factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? W-H-A-T-A. And of course, a tip of the hat and a big thank you to Satchmo, Louis Armstrong, enabling that song, not just to go viral and touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet. Whenever you hear the opening bars of what a wonderful world, what do you do right away? We can't help you smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you're going to internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you quickly, I'm privileged to speak to a lot of people every week through the internet. Millions and millions of people, thank God. And I do in-person events as well. Recently, I spoke to a group of 1,127 people. I'm telling the story about Barry Shore. I'm talking about miracles in life. And some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been out for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water, drink, food to eat, place to sleep, family, friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. What's the proof? Simplest proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or you're listening, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live life to the full, live exuberantly. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed from the neck down. It's called being a quadriplegic. Nothing in my body moved. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. In a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't move for 2 years. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, from my hips to my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. Can't walk up a curb by myself. I help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. You hear my voice. Powerful, positive, purposeful, and pleasant. All because of one word. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I'll tell you, my 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. What was she doing? She was creating the kind of world that she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a fabulous acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. You are going to be experiencing a shift in perspective today. Now, you got to be careful with your F's. Don't drop the F and shift, or the other stuff happens. When you shift your perspective, you'll be able to utilize, leverage, and learn the 6 most important words you'll ever know. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. You're going to hear it all from Dr. Ellen. She'll be with us in just 30 seconds or so. In the interim, I want to urge everybody to understand that in this show, we do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word. I do it for the shock value when it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use who live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant are love, life, hope, play, free, gift, pray, swim, and the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun. That's right. FU, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends, you have a twinkling eye, smile on your face. Point your fingers at FU, everybody. Remember to add capital N, capital N. So where'd you get that? You got their attention, and now you can share with them the transformative, powerful, positive, pleasant information you're going to get from Dr. Ellen. Before we bring her on, I'm just going to urge everybody, use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day for now and the rest of your life, and you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. KIND is a fabulous acronym. It stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody in the planet that inspires noble deeds that I want to share you with more than amazing, wonderful, fabulous Dr. Ellen Langer. Dr. Ellen, please say hello to 501,927 people around the world.
Hello, everybody. And a big hi to you, Barry.
Thank you so much for being here. We're humbled and honored. I'm going to do 3 things. If I started telling all the CV, the curriculum vitae about Dr. Ellen, take the rest of the show. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to give you 3 data points. Number 1, and this is really important for you to understand. Remember, don't take any notes. She's the first woman to be tenured in psychology at Harvard University, or as we say, Harvard in psychology. First woman tenured. Okay. That in itself is something special. She's written dozens of books. She's also known as Mom and Mop. What? What's that, Barry? Mom is Mother of Mindfulness. And she's a mop, not because she has one in her hand, but she's the ultimate mop, which is the mother of positive psychology. So what you're going to be hearing today comes directly from a being that lives absolutely what she writes about and what she talks about. And let's just jump right in, Dr. Ellen, talk about your essence, which is the unity of mind and body. Let's talk about it. What does it mean, and why should anybody listen to you and care about it?
Well, the reason to listen is because why not? No, that I've been doing research on mindfulness. As I study it, it has nothing to do with meditation. We'll talk about that in a minute. For close to 50 years. And what happens is when you're mindful, actively noticing new things, the neurons are firing, and decades of research shows that it's literally and figuratively enlivening. Now, many people think there's a mind and a body, and we're stuck in this dualist notion. I have been talking about mind-body unity for decades, and people have come a distance, so they talk about mind-body connection, which is not good. The reason for that is that how are they connected? It's like having a mind and a body. How do they talk to each other? How do you get from a fuzzy thing called a thought to something material? I see, they're just words. Let's put them back together. Then it's one thing, wherever you're putting one, you're necessarily putting the other. That means we make ourselves healthy, we make ourselves happy. It's essentially doing the same thing. And let me give you an example of the first study that we did on this. All of this is reported in my new book, The Mindful Body, which goes through much more than just mind-body unity. But we'll start here. So many, many years ago, we took elderly men and we had them live in a retreat for a week that was retrofitted to 20 years earlier. So they lived there as if they were their younger selves. They talk about the past events as if they were just happening. In a short, very short time, without medical intervention, their vision improved, their hearing improved, their memory, their strength, and they looked noticeably younger, right? Just by changing their minds. The next study, I'll give just 3, but there are so many of them. We take chambermaids. Interestingly, chambermaids, these are the women who are cleaning hotel and motel rooms all day long. You ask them if they're getting much exercise, they say no, because they think exercise is what you do after work. And after work, they're just too tired. So very simple study. We take half of them and we simply teach them that their work is exercise. Making a bed is like working at this machine at the gym and so on. So now we have 2 groups. One group that knows their work is exercise, the other group that doesn't realize this. They don't eat any differently. They're not working any harder. There's no difference on any of these measures until we get to the end of the week. And what we find is that those women who now change their mindset, see their work as exercise, lost weight, there was a change in waist to hip ratio, body mass index, and their blood pressure came down. Let me just give you the last one in the series, but there are so many of them dealing with chronic illnesses and such. So we inflict a wound. Now, Barry, you should be, what? We didn't hurt people. It was a minor wound, but still a wound. And individually, they're in front of a clock. Unbeknownst to them, the clock is rigged. So for a third of the people, the clock is going twice as fast as real time. For a third of the people, half as fast as real time. And for a third of the people, it's real time. What we find is that the wound heals based on perceived time, what that clock says. Right? Now, most of us, you go to a doctor and the doctor, if he says you're going to heal at all, may say it's going to take 6 months. There's no way for anyone to know how long it's going to take you to heal. What people don't understand is that all of science are only probabilities. That's all an experiment can give you. And what happens is that we take these probabilities, and they're taught to us often as absolutes. Let me give you a step back a little
Okay,
bit.
before you do that, let's unpack some of what you do, because already
I already lost everybody.
No, on the contrary, not lost. People's not just leaning in; their heads they're stopped. If they're walking, they're stopping. They want to listen. What you've done is you've connected with people, Dr. Ellen, and you know that. First of all, you're charming. I'm not doing it to flatter you. You're charming. You're capable, and what you're talking about is what's called truth. See, that's the genius of what you're communicating with us, is these transformational processes are rooted in what we'll call science, and the ability to transmit this to people and see that shift in mindset. Again, keep that F in place or the other stuff happens, right? And again, the one with chambermaids, I found almost the most, I've read your works, and I found that one of the more interesting ones, because if you engage people and you talk to them about mindful and thinking and changing and so, okay, that takes a certain skill set. If you don't, and you just ask them to do what we just mentioned here, just you doing exercise. Oh, okay. Now we're talking about simple shifts in perspective as opposed to major. And that's why I want to ask you again, You're
Well,
dealing, as you said, with science based on probability.
well, let me tell us a little story that'll make some of this clearer.
Please.
So I was a straight A student. I was the one everybody hated, who thought she knew everything. And I'm at this horse event, and this man asked me, "Can I watch his horse for him because he's going to get his horse a hot dog?" Hot dog? What are you kidding? Horses are herbivorous; they don't eat meat. But I say, sure. He came back with the hot dog, and the horse ate it. And that's when I realized everything I thought I knew could be wrong. Now, from there, I went to, well, how could anybody determine whether horses eat meat or not? How hungry are the horses? How big are the horses? How much meat is mixed? All of these things are missing from the simple statement, horses don't eat meat. The science of it would say, under these circumstances of how much hunger, how much meat mixed with how much grain, so on and so forth, most of the horses didn't eat the meat. That whole big thing is given as a single absolute, all right? And then I realized that everything we know or think we know is essentially the same thing. We're given these absolutes when everything is sort of a maybe. And science should be respected, a lot of smart people doing very interesting work, but we shouldn't act as if that's the final answer. So if you went to a doctor and you broke your leg, if you ask the doctor, how long is it going to take to heal? The doctor's going to give you a number, but that number is a probability. And many people similar to you take this long. It certainly doesn't mean that that's how long it's going to take you. And the bottom line, or one of the bottom lines to all of this, is that our abilities are so much greater than we tend to realize. And part of what keeps us locked, sealed in unlived lives is our mindlessness. Now, when I talk about mindlessness, it's when we accept these absolutes as true, then there's no reason to think about it anymore. So then we're going to be mindless. When we do something over and over again with the intention of not having to think about it anymore, then we're being mindless. And we never want to be mindless. People don't realize that if you're going to do something, show up for it. And when you show up for it, the neurons are firing, and that turns out to be very good for you. Now, the bottom line of all of this is that because everything is always changing, what we need to have is a healthier respect for uncertainty. Uncertainty is not the exception. Uncertainty is the rule. Nobody knows. Now, people, when they don't know they don't know, but they think they should know. So then you pretend, avoid this. Nobody can know because everything looks different from different perspectives. Everything is always changing. And when you have that deep appreciation, you approach everything as if it's brand new. So that's top down. Everything is uncertain, so I'm going to show up. Bottom up is take things you think you know and notice 3 new things about them, 4 new things.
So let's pause for a couple of moments and unpack a few things because first of all, this is the ultimate FU, fun.
Yeah.
The ability to be mindful in any situation. I'll give you a quick example. I am privileged to say I published 4 books in the past 18 months. And the first book called The Joy of Living, 11 Strategies for Living in Joy Daily, which we'll talk about after the break, from your perspective about happiness. And one of the techniques I use in there is to urge people to brush their teeth in the morning with their non-dominant hand. Specifically because of what you just said.
Yes.
Because if you do it at the same time all the time, you're mindless. If you do it with your non-dominant hand, by definition, it's really difficult and you become mindful. And even brushing one's teeth becomes an exploration of what could happen in life. Wow.
Right.
Is that right?
Exactly right. That's exactly right. Very well put. So that when you get to the point, well, first of all, people, when they hear the word mindful, they tend to think about meditation. This is nothing to, meditation is fine, but this has nothing to do with meditation.
Right.
Meditation is a practice. This is not a practice. This is when you come away with a certain understanding, everything falls into place. So if you were going to come visit me, right now I'm in my house in Mexico, you wouldn't have to practice anything. You'd come, you'd not recognize anything. You've never been here before. Everything would be new and it would be exciting and fun for you. Whenever we're having fun, we're being mindful.
Okay, well, on that high note, 1 second. On that high note, we have sponsors that make this show possible. You wouldn't have Dr. Ellen with all these wonderful people, and we reckon we wouldn't have them on if we didn't vet them and think they're worthy of your time and your attention. So we'll be right back with more Dr. Ellen. Don't go away on the edge of your seat, because she's going to tell you how to be happy in every circumstance. We'll be right back after this brief message. Don't go away.
Any business leader who has stood in front of potential investors can tell you, creating a vivid, compelling vision of the future can be the difference between bankruptcy and billions. If you can move people with words, you can practically will things into existence. Something that seems impossible can be made to seem inevitable. But not with bullet points, with a well-crafted and well-told story. I spent 30 years in advertising, creating stories for giant brands, universities, and governments, and changing people's hearts and minds. And over those years, I accumulated a treasure chest of insights about how to entertain and inspire and move people. And I think I can teach you. Can you think of a tool more powerful than human speech? See how your value changes when you start to master the oldest human art form.
Hello, skincare connoisseurs. If you think you have tried everything in skincare, you are going to love what I am about to tell you. I'm pharmacist Benjamin I. Fuchs. I'm a dermatology pharmacist, and what I've discovered in my compounding pharmacy after decades of working with patients with skin traumas and skin diseases is the missing link in skincare is topical essential nutrition. And because of this missing link, we're not maximizing the potential of topical skincare. We're leaving skin beauty and skin health on the table. And that's why I formulated my Truth Treatments. Listen, the skin's an organ. It needs and wants and craves nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and plant-derived minerals, and now it can get them in super high concentrations in my Truth Treatments. Originally formulated for dermatologists and their patients, now they're available to you. Check them out today at truthtreatments.com, and I know you are going to love the truth.
Good day. Beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking. She's always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. Her name is Dr. Ellen Langer, and she is sharing with us transformative insights into you. And that's who you care about, right? You should. You. And we were just talking about now something that's new and exciting and interesting. Can life be that way all the time, Dr. Ellen?
I believe so. Now, I think there are many mindsets that we have that are hurtful to us. People accept things like stress. They say life is stressful, and life doesn't have to be stressful. And they think there are bad things, you just put up with them. So it's sort of, people often, and lots of therapists, researchers, experts, rabbis, whoever, get people from it's bad to here it's better. I can tolerate it. But there's a better than better way of living one's life. And that's what, what I tend to focus on. That stress, certainly, stress is psychological. This is kind of interesting, Barry, that my belief is that the major killer, literally, is stress. I was going to do this study with people in China before COVID, and it never ended up happening. Big deal, which was we take people who are just diagnosed with cancer, different kinds of cancer, and we measure their stress level. The stress, nobody is going to find out they have cancer and be exuberant. So
they became paralyzed overnight.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's give people, a few weeks to live with this. Then we start measuring their stress level. I believe, I don't have data for this now, but my strong belief is that the level of stress will be more of a determinant of their prognosis than genetics, nutrition, and dare I say, even treatment. Now, stress is psychological. Events don't cause stress. What causes stress are the views you take of events. The more mindful you are, the more potential views, the more you can see how this thing that seems bad is actually a savior for you. But when you're mindless, you have single-minded understandings of events, and it's hard then not to have the emotion that follows that. People don't realize that the emotions we experience are largely choices. I might say, you made me angry. You're not making me anything. That I'm choosing to interpret what you're saying in such a way that's going to make me angry, happy, or anything else. Emotions are a function of the views we take of events, not just physiological arousal. And the view you take depends on how mindful you are. When you're mindless, something happens, you see this is terrible, and then you're going to respond accordingly. When you're mindful, you say, well, okay. So an example, I've used this before on podcasts. Let's say my internet goes out right now. Well, Barry, I love talking to you and your audience, but really, the internet goes out, I'll go and have lunch. It's fine.
And by the way, we want you to enjoy your lunch. Don't,
Right.
oh my God,
I'll give your audience a few one-liners that they might find helpful, and we can talk about them if you want or not, which is, next time you're stressed, ask yourself, is it a tragedy or an inconvenience? Most of the time, they're not tragedies. I didn't get the project done in time. I banged the car. I burnt the roast. That's the first thing. Second thing is to think back about the last 3 times you were stressed. Did the events even happen? Because most of the time, they don't happen. All right, so we're worrying for nothing. We're throwing away good moments of our lives for no reason at all. In fact, something that people might do to protect themselves from stress is that next time you're stressed, stress requires 2 things. It requires a view that something is going to happen, and second, that when it happens, it's going to be awful. So for the first part, ask yourself for 3 reasons why it might not happen. So you immediately feel better because before that you thought it's going to happen. Now maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Now is the harder part. Ask yourself how that might actually be an advantage. And you do this often enough, lots of people, when you go to therapy, if the therapist is good, will help you reframe a situation so you no longer suffer. But when you live the life the way I'm describing it long enough, you don't reframe because the negative frame doesn't occur to you in the first place. You just allow yourself to be. Right now, many people are killing themselves to get that good thing, or jumping away as far as they can, as fast as they can from that bad thing. But things in and of themselves are neither good nor bad. They're nothing. It's our interpretation of them that makes them however we're experiencing them. And again,
let's go back and unpack a few things here because it's fabulous. If you remember in the introduction to before bringing you on, I mentioned my humble opinion, the 6 most important words anybody could utilize and leverage in their lives is these: choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Mm-hmm. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine the path of your life and the trajectory. So I'm a poster child.
So one of the earliest studies I did back in, I guess it was in the 70s, was in nursing homes. We went into nursing homes and we gave the residents there, one group of the residents there, choices to make. Simple choices, because when people are not going to let you go into their organization and rearrange the power structure.
Right.
But even these simple little choices, like if you're going to visit with people, you can decide, do you want to visit with them in your room, in the lounge, So that level of choice. We gave people, we were going to show them a movie, and they got to decide, did they want to see it on Tuesday or Thursday? We gave them a plan to take care of. That was the whole study. We went back 18 months later, and those people who were given those choices were twice as likely to be alive than the group that was just given tender, loving care. So yes, I've been studying the importance of choice for the last 4 or 5 decades.
Okay, so let's just unpack something here. Just, Dr. Ellen, I'm in love with you. She said, but I've been studying this for the past 4 or 5 decades. Most of our listening audience under the age of 30. So, that's why this is so wonderful, by the way. It is truly wonder-filled. During the break, by the way, I came up with an acronym for your name, Ellen. May I give it to you?
Sure.
Okay, we're sharing with the world. Enthusiasm, that's you, lifts life, ennobling, nurturing.
That's nice. Okay, I'll take it.
Well, that's what you do. You are a nurturer. You are sharing with people that what you think about and how you think, and you align your thoughts, your words, and your deeds, let's say in good, then guess what's going to happen? You'll have more what people call good in your life. Others will call it luck. We'll call it good because we know that probably, like you said, it will happen that way. It happens to be a plug. I want to plug everything about Dr. Ellen. She's doing a retreat. She's doing stuff. It's all in the show notes. You really must be involved with this woman and her work because it is life enhancing, life changing. And I'm just going to tell you, wonderful Dr. Ellen, my 4th book I just published 3 months ago is called Reframing, the Art of Living. Because that's what it's about. And again, I'm sort of a poster child for these kind of things. I was told by many doctors, by the way, well-meaning people who just, their bedside manner is, well, I have to tell you the truth, Barry.
Yeah.
I'm paralyzed. You're most likely never going to walk again or move. And however, with lots of things we can give for you, adaptive. And now I got to tell you something. Did I ever say to them, oh, you don't know what you're talking about? I didn't get angry. I heard, I didn't listen.
Yeah.
I came in at the age of 55, already a very positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant person. So my mindset was one of, well, I know what I'm going to do. It didn't mean that I was going to walk again because I didn't know. It didn't mean I was going to swim 2 miles a day, which I do now 6 days a week. I'm doing 14 years. I had no idea if I was going to move again. Didn't matter. My mind was, I'm in control of what I can do.
Right. Exactly.
And if I can just move a pinky.
It's interesting what people, when people are depressed or they're suffering in some way and they're looking for large solutions, big, important ways of taking their lives and turning it around, it's often useful just to remember that life consists of moments. That's all. And if you make the moment matter, then over time, your life is going to matter. I was on this panel in Australia many years ago with very, very people. And we each gave our individual talks and we're all brought out together. And unbeknownst to us, the person who put this together decides to ask each of us about their bucket list. And so I was the last online. Everybody's giving their bucket list. And I start thinking about it. And she gets to me and I said, I don't have a bucket list. That if you're here now and you're happy, you don't need to hope to be someplace else to achieve that end. And, it's nice, for example, to think about, it'd be fun to travel and take a vacation. But to need a vacation means that you're working mindlessly.
Okay,
And
let's pause there. I want you to repeat this because, again, the genius of what's going on here is that you're not taking notes. Remember, I asked you, don't take notes, lean in. Experience, Dr. Ellen. Please repeat that again.
Okay, what I was saying is if I wanted to take one measure of how mindful people are, I might ask them how much they need a vacation. And if you need a vacation, that means you're not enjoying your work. And what you don't understand is that whatever you're doing, you can do it mindfully or mindlessly. When you do it mindlessly, the body is shutting down. When you do it mindfully, you're noticing new things. And it's the essence of being excited, happy. It's the way we become engaged with the world. Now, if you're living your life where you're actively noticing, actively being present, you don't need to wait to experience
Right.
what people look forward to, and traveling is fun.
Okay.
But it's interesting. But there are lots of people, at least when I was younger, and you'd go to Europe and they go into these magnificent cathedrals, churches, and what have you, without realizing we have magnificent things back in the States as well. So
By the way, where you live, right?
no
Where
matter
you
where.
live.
No. What I'm going to say now is that if people open their doors and walk outside, which they do so many times, a day, but go outside and notice 3 new things, you'll see, hey, I never
Okay.
noticed that before.
Dr. Ellen, I have to share with you, and the audience, thank God, those who've been with me for a few years know this already. I was blessed with 2 wonderful parents and humble people, small, just delightful people, hardworking people. My father taught me when I was 17, when I was about to go on a cross-country trip from Boston to California first time, and I hitchhiked half the way. He said to me, well, you're going to enjoy yourself. You have a lot of fun. And so I just want to let you know, when you come back, I want you to come back here, what you call home. I want you to think that you've been to this city for the first time in your life.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Right. And
In other
that's
words,
the
to
way we should be living
experience,
our lives.
yes.
Right.
Isn't
Yeah.
that wonderful?
I
And
know that's
at
perfect.
the age of 17, it changed my perspective. When I came back, I didn't say, oh, I'm back home. Wow. And I saw things I'd never seen before.
Right.
Like you just said, this is so wonderful. And it happens
Well,
in
see,
everybody.
if we go back to the mind-body unity, what people need to understand then is, as you're seeing things for the first time, that's actually good for your health. These
Yes.
are a single unit. So when people say, drink a toast to your health and your happiness, you don't need both. Either one will get you to the both places.
Right. But by definition, right? By
Yes.
definition, they go together. So you've mentioned already the other M word, mindfulness in and of itself presupposes, I'll say it like this, presupposes something called meditation. You can be meditating while you're walking.
No, and meditation is a practice you engage in to result in post-meditative mindfulness. So mindfulness, as we study it, is more immediate. So you don't take yourself away from the world. And meditation is very useful. I'm not degrading it at all. But this is just different. All of this follows from an appreciation of not knowing. It's wonderful to know you don't have to know. You watch a lot of professors, and you have a junior faculty person, they show up and they're scared, right? Because what if the students ask me a question I don't know? And then you become more mature, and it becomes very easy to say, I don't know. So I did this thing, Barry. You'll find this fun. I wrote a little song, a little ditty from my grandkids when they were 5 years old. And let me give you the basis of it first. So in our house back home, we were getting this major delivery and a lot of furniture that was going to be put in the basement. Now, I don't know if people know that I have a Genius Award. I've got all sorts. I'm very distinguished. Okay, right? Genius.
By the way, okay, I want to tell everybody that's another reason why I truly am humbled and honored that you're here with us today.
No, but I have to finish this so people don't think I'm boasting. What I'm saying is,
No, I know you're not.
with all of this,
Yes.
I look at that truck. I know the space it's supposed to go in. I see there is no way that's going to fit in that space. Okay, now there's a person there who's going to put it all away. He's thinks very little of himself. He doesn't have any education. He's strong, a very nice guy, but sort of depressed. And he not only put it all away, but it was all accessible. It was remarkable. And I thought, it's something that's just not fair. that he gets to think nothing of himself, where I'm lauded all of the time. So, so this is a little song that I can't sing. And that's the point of the song.
Okay.
So if you look at the YouTube that's out there, I do this with my Harvard students. I start off and I say, I can't sing, but I like singing. Why shouldn't I sing? There are lots of other things I can do. And so that's, everybody doesn't know something, but everyone knows something else. Everyone can't do something, but everyone can do something else. To recognize that it's okay not to know, that there are other things that you do know. So I have my kids, they're 5 years old at the time, in the car. One of them starts to whistle. I say, oh, Theo, you're such a good whistler. Then his brother, Emmett, says, Grandma Elle, when Theo learned to whistle, I was learning something else. Very nice. Very nice.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm crying. First of all, that memory is seared into you.
Yeah.
And anytime you think about it, you're feeling wonderful, right?
Right.
And now you just told us you have at least two grandchildren.
That's
one
all.
is named Theo.
Right. And one is Emmett.
Okay. Emmett, right?
But the point of all of it is that everything in our society, and I talk a lot about this in the Mindful Body, too much to go through now, but ranks us in some way. You go to school, you're A, B, C, or D student, whatever. Everybody is deciding you have the talent, you don't have the talent. And we emerge from this where some of us feel, wow, I'm terrific. Sadly, most of us feel not so good. And even the people who feel terrific are not sure why. I'm very well aware of all the things I can't do, and was never freed to pursue them anyway. Never, well, be that as it may.
Okay.
The larger point is that somebody has decided how to define that excellence. And that it's just a group of people, where another group of people might have defined it very differently, which means that C student might then be at the head of the class.
Absolutely. Okay. On this high note, I want to know, because we'll call it high C. On this high note, again, we have people that love the show and sponsor it. We urge you to consider it. And I know you're not going to go away, because I'm happy to tell you there's more Dr. Ellen on the other side of this. We'll be right back with this brief message. Don't go away.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking, so I was looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance. Dr. Ellen is sharing with us transformative processes, and it's about a shift in your mindset. It's your mindfulness that will allow you to live in a wonderful world. And everything she's been talking about today, I urge you, go back and listen again. Pause, take notes, and then go and listen a third time. You'll be able to internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. That's what we just talked about. So let's just talk about you as a Harvard psychologist, well known throughout the world. And let's discuss the realities of what people call chronic illness.
Yeah.
Because in today's environment, by the way, most of them stress-induced. Let's be blunt. People do have chronic illness.
Yes. So what happens, first of all, the word chronic means to people that they have no control over the illness. But that's not what it should mean. All it really means is that the medical world hasn't given us a way of dealing with it. They don't have the medicine, the treatment, and what have you. And it's very different. Now, when you have a chronic illness, you tend to believe that whatever your symptoms are going to stay the same or get worse. Nothing moves in only one direction. The stock market, if it's going up, it doesn't go up in a straight line. It goes up a little, then down a little, then okay. So nothing is constant in that fashion. So there are times, no matter what you're suffering from, where it's a little better. Times it's a little worse. We hold it constant in our heads and are oblivious to these changes, but control over our health often comes from noticing these. So we have a treatment that we call attention to symptom variability. That sounds fancy. It just means being mindful. Variability is noticing change. When you're mindless, you keep looking as if everything is the same, when nothing stays the same. So for this, we call people periodically and we ask, how is the symptom now? Is it better or worse than the last time we called? And why? Several things happen here. The first, simply by engaging in this process, you're doing something rather than feeling helpless, so you feel good. Two, that as soon as you see that the symptom, hey, now it's a little better, you recognize that there's more hope than you might have had before. Three, when you ask yourself, why is it better now than before? You engage in a mindful search, which itself is good for your health, whether you find the reason or not. Four, that I believe you're more likely to find a cure if you're actually looking for one. So and this is true not just for chronic, let's take stress. So Barry, let's assume you're stressed all the time in your mind. Nobody is stressed all the time.
Right.
When you're not stressed, you're not thinking about the stress. So last time you were stressed, you're thinking about it. You're not stressed, you're not thinking. You're stressed again, and you forget that intervening time. So you're called periodically. How are you now? Is the stress better or worse than the last time we called, and why? All right. Now you do this over and over again, and you find, you know what? You're only stressed when you're talking to Ellen Langer. All right. Well, then the cure is simple. Don't talk to me, or talk to me differently. All right. And so when I developed this, I was trying to find a placebo that we could give ourselves. Placebo is maybe our strongest medicine. Placebo is a sugar pill. It's inert by definition. It has no effect. You take it, you believe it has an effect, and then magic often happens. A nocebo, the reverse. You take something that is something, but you don't believe it's something, and the effect typically goes away. Okay, now people can't give themselves a placebo because what's essential is the belief that this is going to help.
Right.
Okay. So here we have, so in this procedure, you could set your phone, your smartphone, to ring in an hour. And then it rings and you ask yourself, how is the symptom, whichever symptom you're focusing on now? Is it better or worse than the last time? And why?
And why?
And then you set it 2 hours later, just vary the times over the day, over the week. And, the first thing is you feel useful. And it doesn't have to interfere with any medical treatment you're getting. And there are no side effects, but you're engaged in your own healthcare. We have found that with multiple sclerosis, stroke, Parkinson's, arthritis, chronic pain, and I don't remember what others, that we get an amelioration of symptoms. People get better. All right.
Okay, I want to put pause. I'm going to repeat these words. People get better. You hear that? And she was talking about stuff like MS and Parkinson's and lupus and da. People get better. It's your mind, everybody.
Let me tell you a story, Mary, because when I started to write The Mindful Body, at first I was writing it as a memoir. So there are lots of very personal stories in it. But there are two stories that I want to mention that are quick. The first, I was married when I was obscenely young. And then I got married again.
Teenage bride.
So I'm 18, 19, I don't remember. We go to Paris on our honeymoon. We're in a restaurant. I ordered the mixed grill. On the grill was pancreas. I asked my then husband, who was more sophisticated than I, which of these is the pancreas? He points to something. I eat everything else with gusto. Now the moment of truth. can I get myself to eat the pancreas? And I still to this day can't figure out why I thought I had to eat the pancreas just because I was married, but it was believing that I was all grown up and that's what grown-ups do. Anyway, I start eating it and I literally get sick. My husband at the time then starts laughing, which was not a good thing. And, why are you laughing? He said, because that's chicken. You ate the pancreas a while ago. So I had made myself sick.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another pancreas story. My mother had breast cancer. The cancer had metastasized to her pancreas. That's the end game. The medical world wrote her off. She was supposed to die. And then magically it was gone without any explanation. All right. So I made myself sick. She made herself well. Those sowed the seeds together for me to eventually create, from me, this mind-body unity view.
So I'm somewhat loath to say these words, Dr. Ellen. We're coming to a close on our time together. However, I want to mention a few things, again, that I urge everybody, please, you must attend for your benefit to everything about Dr. Ellen here. And follow the podcast, share it with other people, because this is the way we heal the world. Dr. Ellen is sharing with us how you heal the world. She didn't mention even an aspirin because you don't need it. It's you. Okay, there are other things you might need for, fixing a broken bone. Fine. Oftentimes you have to do that with medical procedures and such. We're talking about your mind and we care about you. So I'm sure you're obviously fully aware of Norman Cousins and Bernie Siegel. And I'm happy to say that when I was paralyzed, so Norman Cousins' book and his approach to healing was part and parcel of what helped me regain some of my upper body movements and such. And the same with Dr. Bernie Siegel, who's been a guest on the show as well, and how he approached cancer and how he was vilified by the medical establishment for many years. Just because, well, you can't do that. Just because people sing, you think you're going to get better? Well, that's part of what you're talking about. The ability to use one's mind. So as I said, I'm going to come to a close today. I have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready, Dr. Ellen?
I'm ready. I don't know that I'm going to answer them, but I'm ready to hear them.
First question, will you come back again?
Sure, why not?
Thank you. Number 2, Dr. Ellen Langer. You have only 80 seconds to answer this. What is your most fervent desire?
Oh, just to continue being. Do you want me to say more?
No, I am so happy to hear those words, because there are many people in the world that would want to not continue to do that. And when you have arrived at mindfulness, you will all, everyone that's listening and the millions of people you're going to share this with, you will all say those same words. Continue being, because your being makes a difference in the world. You're a mad woman. You're making a difference. And number 3, Dr. Ellen, may I give you a hug in front of 507,219 people around the world? I got to tell you what HUG stands for. May I give you a hug?
Sure.
Okay, HUG stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And of course, you're listening to The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, and our amazing, wonderful, fabulous guest, Dr. Ellen Langer. And in this show, we talk about the 3 fundamentals of life, as you've been learning. And these are, number 1, life. Your life has purpose, and you lead a purpose-driven life. Number 2, happens, you go mad. You make a difference in the world. Number 3, unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms, and you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier because you'll be mindful. www. What a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. Or as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles everyday life. 3, create the kind of world you want to live in. Dr. Ellen has given us the RX. Create the world you want to live in, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. And of course, you want to use a lot of 4-letter words. The ones we use are positive, purposeful, power, and play, like love, life, hope, play, pray, free, give, swim, and tell the world to F you. capital N, capital S. After the show, you see your family and friends do that and say, what are you talking about? I said, well, I listened to Barry Shore and on The Joy of Living had Dr. Ellen Langer. You know what she spoke about? I'm mindful, and you can be too. And we urge you, everybody, use the two most important, powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life, and you too will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Therefore, be kind always. And a blessing from Dr. Ellen and Barry. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Dr. Ellen, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.